minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Fuck you, Westport!
Woohoo! What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. How you doing, Brandon?
Hey, good to see you, Chad. I'm great, man. You're here in the PNW with me, and it is epic. Hiked yesterday after work, hiked into the dark, and got out and got a couple more hours this morning. Just unreal. So, doing good. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic. Along the same vein. Just got back from walking the beach. It's basically like 55 degrees in January at the beach, shoes off, feet in the sand. Like, it's just an epic day to be outside. If you guys are in good weather, hit it up. It's such a recharge.
Oh, dude, I gotta say, I like raw weather too. I hike. I don't care what the weather's like. I'm in it. It's my favorite place to be. You know, my phone usually doesn't work, which is great. And so it's just peace and quiet. And Cindy, who I work with, calls it forest bathing. And it does feel like you're just getting the smells. And there's a lot of science behind how the smells of a forest relax a human being. So there's you know, just like everything over at KIS, there's science behind it.
Dare you say there may be terpenes in that nature?
Yeah. You know, like the smell right when a rain hits, like that's bacteria, and everybody kind of likes that smell. And there's a lot of science behind, or a lot of research behind how those things impact humans. You know, I read a really interesting paper one time about how, you know, a lot of us like to fall asleep to the sound of rain. Like a lot of people have rain machines, that kind of thing. And there was a really interesting paper that I read one time, and it was like, do we like the sound of rain? Is that relaxing? Or is it the fact that we're not in the rain and we hear the rain, and that for an early human being would be a really nice thing, you know? And so it was a real interesting perspective, you know, way off topic, but yeah, we're thinking about.
I definitely can tie that back to genetics, though. It's like, you know, it's like the genetic coding, you know, from generation after generation. It just has survived because of this trait. But do we actually enjoy that side? That's an interesting thing that could be debated. Wow.
Yeah, interesting.
There's the mind blower.
Is it the being dry, or is it the sound, or is it maybe the smells, or, you know, it was, yeah, just interesting. It's a really good reminder that we just don't know much of anything. I think you and I've talked about it, but my favorite TED Talk of all time was a guy who came on and talked about a bunch of stuff, and I don't even remember what he talked about. But when he got done with his talk, he was like, well, here's something valuable for you, at least, if I've wasted your time today. Everybody put your hand up if you know something. And everybody in the talk put their hand up. And he's like, okay, I'm going to pick on this guy right up front because he's up front. And he's like, you know, and I can never remember the guy's name, but, you know, we'll call him Steve. He's like, you know, what's your name? He's like, I'm Steve. And he's like, okay, so what do you know? And he goes, I know I'm Steve. And he's like, okay, great. How do you know you're Steve? And the guy's like, well, my parents call me Steve. It's on all my report cards. It's on all my ID, my social security card, all my friends, you know, at work. My paychecks go to Steve. Like, I've been Steve my whole life. It's never changed. So I feel relatively confident I'm Steve. And he's like, this is perfect. This is something that, to the best of his ability, he knows. He has documentation. He has third-party impartial witnesses, you know, that verify him. You know, he's like, so we're going to give it to you. You know you're Steve. He's like, okay, what's something else you know? And he's like, oh, well, we go around the sun. You know, the earth goes around the sun. And he's like, great. Everybody in here pretty much agrees to that on that. And everybody's like, yeah. And he's like, okay, how do you know that? Have you done this, the tests? Have you done the trials? How do you know that? He's like, most of what we know is something we've read from a reputable source, hopefully. But
repetition.
But it's yeah. And so it was just really interesting. It's just the challenge to really know something, or to be open-minded, you know, even better, because you very well be wrong, or just not understand a nuance, you know. Yeah. I already segued way off a topic today. Sorry.
No, it's absolutely good. It all ties into gardening too, because when it comes to, especially with like organic amendments, or if you're making your own like ferments, if you're making your own teas, it's not something that we can necessarily quantify down to the milliliter like a synthetic diet would be. You know, we could be like, 10 milliliters of this, kind of solve that. But we have to just kind of observe and trust, and then use our own data to continue to move forward. And that's building, like, how do we know? It's like, well, I can't necessarily point to a paper that, again, says 10 milliliters of this fermented plant juice is going to bring everything up. But we're working our way towards it. We're building that knowledge base, but all of it starts with observation. And that's a big, big piece of what we do. And to that person's point, I like it. We could question things indefinitely. There's some point to where we have to just be like, okay, I'm going to accept it because I don't have enough time to like prove it otherwise.
If it's predictable and replicable, let's do it. Let's just go and let's move on. Because like I was talking to a grower the other day, and you know, he's a newer grower, and he was beating himself up for something that happened on his last round, and I was like, you know, I was like, dude, there's a brown that got away from me about 12 years ago that takes
still thinking about it. Still thinking about it.
It drives me crazy, bro. Something happened and I don't know what it was. And you know, but there is a point where that's not useful, and you got to keep things, as a grower, you have to keep things solution driven. Here I am right now. That history is important because it's, like you said, it's your observational database. But you got to do something now. And so stay proactive and don't beat yourselves up. And yeah.
And yes, Dr. Levy, you did hear giveaway. We're going to get to one here in just a second. Again, thank you guys for
I'll match
watching.
You with a giveaway. I'll match you with a giveaway today. So beautiful.
Out of here. Dude, you guys are 2 for 1, man. Double your pleasure, double your fun. Dude, thank you, Brandon. That's awesome. I never asked, never expected, but you've got some cool genetics that I'd love to talk about too. Dang, I forgot where I was going to go before I brought that up, because we were talking about some important stuff. It was good. Trust but verify. Trust but verify, I guess, in the end. Shoot. I'm completely spaced out what I was going to talk about now too. That just means I'm into the conversation because my mind gets single focused. And then I go, ooh, shiny, need to do something. Derailed.
Squirrel.
Totally. I'm going to pull up the StreamYard giveaway tool here on the other stream. Oh, Seahawks are playing. You can't type SE into Google without it going to the Seahawks. As somebody who lives near Seattle, that's special. But I've lived near Seattle long enough to know our teams will always choke in the end. So you can take your 13-1 and have fun with it. This is episode 200, by the way.
Wow.
So
I'm
yeah, of just kind of the live show. So thank you for being part of the 200 live
Dude.
shows.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, you know, again, you've been a guest here a number of times. We've talked about different things. You know, story time with Brandon is awesome because you've got a rad just history with music, with cannabis, with life. And we've also talked a lot about science and tech, kind of more on like the KIS Organic side. We talked about capillary action. We talked about perched water tables.
Yeah.
I was going to say horizontal soil. But yes, so we've talked about a few different things. And anybody in chat, if you guys have questions, feel free to type them in and bring them up. Big shout out to Chonky Nugs. He is setting the example here by putting question in front of it. And I guess since I pulled this up, why don't we get to this maybe while we do the drawing as well? But the question, and this one, Brandon, I'm going to totally send your way. Does organic amended soil and or organic worm castings lose microbial viability if the bag were stored outside or at the least a few months and froze solid? So yes, whether you go through heat periods, you go through cold periods, how does that affect the microbial viability within that soil?
So the short answer is yes. But there's a lot to it. And so organic worm castings you'll get worms from. And so you may have killed your worms, which is an advantage of using good quality castings. That's something I could see if it froze solid, you may very well have, because worms will move to an area or they'll huddle together to stay warm. And if they can't do that, you may have lost that. The biology, mostly bacteria in a substrate. We can get into bacteria and fungal ratios and that kind of stuff. But most of your bacteria is pretty resilient, and for the most part, will come back once you get back into a suitable, temperature and moisture levels. I would be, if it was me, I would definitely, add an aerated compost tea when you get that soil back inside, just to make sure that you've got good diversity and total population. But there will be biology in there. Tad does a lot of direct microscopy, and you can do some pretty heinous things to your substrate, and your biology will come back. You'll have temporary die-offs and that kind of stuff, but it will come back. We don't want to encourage people to do any of those things that cause the diebacks, but just so that people sleep better at night, a lot of that biology is very resilient and it will come back.
And I imagine, different microbes, different bacterias will have, different thresholds within that range of temperature that you're seeing.
Yeah, you might wipe out, if this is your total population, you might wipe out everything outside of this range. You might have killed this and this off. They might not come back, but you should still have, a resurgence of biology.
Nice. Said, goedenavond for my Dutch folks, Dutch people in the house. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Good morning. That's the good morning. Goedenavond is good evening, I believe. We hope. See if I made myself sound like an ass there. Hopefully not. Yeah. But thanks for joining us.
I'm totally lost. So yeah.
Yep. Well, I want to put this up here real quick. And this is going to be for US only, guys. I do apologize, but shipping is just that way. We are going to have some fun. We're going to do a 2-for-1 here. I am going to, for anybody in the US, put up a pack of the No Joke. So if you would like to play for a pack of No Joke and you're in the US, just type 2-for-1 into the chat.
And
And
I'll pick out some dealer's choice genetics, something from my last round with the Karma Sour Diesel Backcross male. So
ooh,
I'll match it.
okay.
I'll match it there. In,
All
in the
right.
in the
Well,
spirit of, I would be remiss if I did not say, I love you, Bobby. We're still everywhere. So yeah, in the spirit of being a deadhead and in honor of Bob Weir, I'd love to match you, bro. Been a
that
tough week for deadheads, man.
absolutely, man. That's thank you for bringing that up, and thank you again for just kind of matching me here. Get people growing some good genetics out there. Um, yeah, man. It's like that band, that group has taken many hits over the years, and a few here in the past couple of years.
The past
It's so
15 months, Donna, Phil, and Bobby. Ugh.
yeah,
Like, I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie, dude. I got on the. I won't name him. I won't lout him out. But a buddy of mine called me the other day and played. We just got on the phone together and cranked up Bobby with the London Symphony singing "Days
Oh
Between."
wow.
And just bawled our eyes out together, So it's
Yeah.
been a tough week for, but
Yeah.
we will survive. And yeah, grateful.
It's
Thank you, Bobby.
yeah, music's such a powerful thing. It brings us back. Yeah, Ed Tech. Shout out to Ed Tech. Good to see you in here. It says the dead changed everything. They
100%.
rocked. And for so many people, I mean, that's where we actually get a lot. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, in the vein of this show, the Grateful Dead, whether you were a hip hop kid or a metal kid or a punk kid, like, as a deadhead, I saw everybody in the lot because you knew that there was the best weed you were ever going to get a shot at on that parking lot on that day. And it, because like the first couple of dead shows I went to, I was like, I see a bunch of people that I wouldn't expect to be here in the parking lot, not inside, but on the parking lot. And then I was like, oh, they're here to score, And so there's like, I as a deadhead and as a grower, I always was very proud to be, part of that supply and demand situation, like we held it down as deadheads, like, and that's obviously like with the sour diesel story, like a lot of amazing genetics moved around and got exposed to people because of Dead Tour. Like, it's just, there's no
Oh
way
God, yeah.
it would have happened. There was no internet, there was
Yeah.
no social media, there was no hype, anything. It's just you walked by a guy and went, I'll be back, bro. Like, you just smelled something incredible, and you were on the hunt. You smelled something fire, and you had to go find it.
Yeah. There was no other like congregation of heady people, and by heady I mean there were like stoners that would get together, they would do this, they had an event, but by heady I mean like the elite people, the people who were doing this professionally at the time. So like quality mattered, selection mattered, and that's where everybody you kind of you go almost to like show off the new toy. Be like, look what I got, look what I brought this time, and then it's just it goes from there. But how my experience is extremely limited when it comes to Grateful Dead and the lot. But it's almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Because they toured for decades, but was the lot just kind of from the beginning? Was the lot like what supported the band, or how did that really come about? Because most people talk about that with such like that was the show in itself. Was the
There's a lot.
lot.
I know a lot of. I got a lot of friends who didn't go into shows, which to me was the only show I ever went to that I didn't get into is I didn't get into the first night of Deer Creek. I think it was 89 or 90. There's a lot of wall stuff. It's been a minute, but one of those I went with my twin brother, and that was a great time because it was his first shows, and we didn't have tickets for the first night, and we couldn't find tickets. That was a hard ticket to find sometimes. And we just, we could find them, but we weren't going to spend what people were asking for. And so we got shut out. But at Deer Creek, you could literally just sit on the back, and it sounded just like you're inside. So like even the show I got shut out of, I heard the whole show and got to boogie down the whole thing, And then the next day we're walking around. There's a big pond at Deer Creek, and that I've had many interactions with that pond over the years. And we were walking around, and this guy had all these tickets laid out drying on the dash of on his window of his car. And we're like, bro, what's up? And he's like, dude, I found this stack. I think they're counterfeits. I found this whole stack in the pond. And I was like, oh, no. What do you want? What do you want for one? My brother needs a ticket, and he wanted face for it. And we were like, oh, that's kind of lame, bro. But like, whatever. I wanted to get my brother in. I was going to pay whatever.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, here. So we went and checked the ticket. They were like, yeah, that's good. So we're like, right on. We're good for the day, man. And so we're super excited. And later in the afternoon, we're walking by, and that guy had put all those tickets inside his dash because he was going to make a fortune. Well, he bleached them all. They were all white from the sun. And we were like, that's what you get, you greedy douche. That's what you get for being greedy on the lot, homie. And we just thought it was so funny. But that was a great time. That was a great show. I've gotten lost coming out of there, walking around that pond. And like I was pretty dedicated astronaut at a dead show. I would usually be a 10 strip deep, if nothing else. And so I could literally I would always park on the pond though, like face in on the pond, because that way I knew even if I missed it a couple of times, I would eventually, all I had to do is walk the thing and I would eventually find where I was camped out, and my friends would all be back there and that kind of stuff. And I was the only person who ever had a car, so I usually drove. And so
where's my car?
But I can remember walking that and seeing my car 10 cars ahead and being like, made it, found it, first try. And then I'm halfway back around and I'm like, damn it. I walked right past it. And I'd do that 2 or 3 times. And then I had one time where I was walking past my car and I heard somebody yell my name, but they weren't yelling my name. They were yelling Brian. And I turned around and there's my car. And I'm like, it's Grateful Dead. No, serendipity never lived anywhere as hard as it did on the Dead lot. But so the Grateful Dead, they had their fan base for a long time. And then, it was probably in the 80s where the lot really got established. And that was just where people congregated. And that's where all the heady glass was, the good food, tie-dyes, anything you might want to imbibe, people playing music. It was just, it's where you would tell your friends, I'll meet you at, so-and-so's, people would set up food all, for a full tour. And so, that was a good way to meet your friend at this time, at this place. And, it was Shakedown. It was fun. It was fun to walk Shakedown and, there was a lot of shopping going on, a lot of hustling going on, a lot of, a lot of colorful characters, as you can imagine. And it was fun.
Well, it's awesome that you mentioned the Deer Creek shows, because the Deer Creek, and you said 90, 89. So Deer Creek 91 show, that's the infamous show where the bag seeds for chem came from.
And then the riots at Deer Creek the last year was, Deer Creek's had some heavy shit go down. And so, but
were riots and the Grateful Dead, please do explain this. That's contradictory.
God. Okay, so I wrote down some stories to tell you today, and one of them was my scariest Grateful Dead experience, and it was the riots at Deer Creek. That would have been 95.
Oops.
Deer Creek was always an amazing place. East Coast, West Coast Deadheads would all be there, and it was always hot and sunny and just summer tour bliss. And Jerry got death threats. One year.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and who's the idiot that death threats Jerry? But
right.
So we knew something was wrong. As soon as it started getting dark, because they left the lights on, and we were like, "Huh, that's weird." They had the lights on, and we're this is odd. And,
Right.
we enjoy the lights. So we wanted to see the lights. And so we were kind of bummed. And then like I was sitting with a group of friends. I was, I'll tell on myself, I was candy flipping. I was on mushrooms and on like 5 or 6 hits of L. And
Good old candy flip.
yeah, and so I'm sitting there with a bunch of good friends, and my brother was there, and there was a bunch of good people there, and there was a group in front of us. We're sitting on the lawn, and there was a group in front of us, and we were kind of we're having a pretty good time, but we're also trying to be good neighbors. We try to be good, responsible neighbors, and we're watching because the lady seems to be having a bad time. She does not seem to be having a good time. And so at one point, I kind of leaned up and asked the husband, I'm like, hey man, is there anything we can do? It looks like she's really kind of, she looked like she was tweaking, like she was having a bad trip or something.
Right.
We were like, you want us to go get the med? Because like the Grateful Dead was really good about having medical resources that weren't going to like send you to the cops. They just wanted to get you okay.
Right.
And so
it was take care of people.
Really safe space, and if all else failed, you could always get to the wharf rats, and that that's recovering deadheads, and they would do anything for you because they've been there. And so so we just were trying to get some help. And he's like, no. He's like, she took something she shouldn't have, but we're all good. And we're like, okay. So we kind of sit back and we hear this cheer, and we're like, what's that? We're here cheering up on the hill. So we look up the hill and somebody's jumping the fence. And there was always one guy. There was a chain link fence and then the wood fence up the hill. And there's always one person willing to try to jump the chain link fence, which was high, like 10, 12 foot high. They'd climb it, jump it, and they'd try to outrun the cops because there was only a couple of cops usually on the back hill. And we're young, youthful heads. We can usually boogie pretty fast, but they always catch them. They'd always be in handcuffs yelling, I got in, like as a joke.
Totally.
And, but somebody jumped the fence, and so everybody's cheering, and we're like, oh, cool, somebody actually did it. And then another person jumped the fence, and another person, and we're like, uh-oh, this isn't good. Well, what they'd done is they pulled all the cops off the hill because they had them inside because of the death threats on Jerry. So all of a sudden, the fence starts getting kicked in from the outside, from the inside. They start tearing the fence down, and I think it was like 3,000 people got in. Like, and so it was
that's
like
wow.
Yeah, and so it was an avalanche of people, and so that's going on. And then this lady in front of us starts she's like looking around like she's terrified, like she looked like she was being attacked by angry ghosts, like from the Buddhist perspective. It was kind of scary. And
zombies.
And so my friend was a paramedic, and she was like, screw this, I've had enough of this. And she was tripping, but she was like, I can't watch this guy try to hold his wife down while she freaks out. So we go up and we're like, hey man, she's a paramedic, we're gonna let her take over. You and me, we're gonna go get help, because I wanted to get him away from her, wanted to get a trained professional to help her. So he and I go get the medics. We're trying to get back up the hill with a gurney and 2 medics, and there's 3,000 people coming towards us. And I'm a big dude, but I saw people run over. I saw a sister with a baby get knocked down. It was the only bad moment of being a deadhead ever. It was humiliating. It was embarrassing. It was painful. It was just ugly to the core. And we got letters as deadheads. If you were like, if you did, like I always did mail order. I wanted my tickets before I hit the road. And if you did mail order, you got a letter that said, hey man, like this shit's over, bro. Like we're not doing this anymore. This ever happens again, that's it. This is the one and only. You get one screw up. And the dead was just like, we're responsible. People got hurt. We can't do this.
Yeah.
And so, and so it was like a real down moment for deadheads. And, but so finally we get help to this lady. We get her out of the show. The whole show is just kind of odd because there's like cops coming from other states because a couple of cops got beat up
Oh,
made it even
geez.
worse. So I had
Yeah.
so the whole show was weird. And then we go to leave, and I think there's like 8, 9 of us in my bus, and we would always camp. There was a farm like, you know, a mile away, half a mile away. I don't know. It's probably like a mile away from the venue. And they had this super cool outdoor aquarium, like huge outdoor aquarium. And like on the right, in the right frame of mind with a flashlight after a show, that thing was cool. But so we would camp there, and they had a giant barn. They had a huge barn where like 100 people could take a shower at one time. So it was really dope vibes. It was just a cool place. And it was like, you know, most people were in there butt naked, but nobody was harassing anybody. Nobody was being weird. It was just people being natural, man. It was real chill. But it was a cool place to camp. So we had a bunch of party favors with us. And I was like, well, I'm not driving that stuff back in my bus to there's I've never seen so many police lights in my life. And
They're stopping everybody on the way out, right?
oh dude, it was unreal. There's just dust and cop lights and sirens, and it was just like this apocalypse now kind of scene, you know, especially in, you know, we had just seen this horrible thing inside with this lady, and you know, it bent the trip a little bit for sure. And so I told my friends, I was like, you know, one of them was totally sober. I was like, you, my friend, are driving my bus back to the lot. I'm going to take everybody's everything in my, you know, like my hip pack, and I'll see you over there. And they're like, cool, works. So they go to find the car and to drive over to the thing. And I start walking towards, and it was super weird because it was like this strobe light effect from the all the cop lights, and it was like super dusty. And I'm walking, and I see this beer bottle going like
Oh
slow
no.
motion because of the strobe light right in front of my nose. And I look to my right, and there's a cop bending down to pick up another bottle. And I was like, oh, this is not normal. This has gotten out of control. I need to get out of here, man. And bro, you know, I was a Big Ten soccer player. Like I was, you know, I was an avid surfer. I've been an athlete my whole life, bro. Like, yeah, like my twin brother and I played soccer, and we used to dust the state champion cross country guy in gym class all the time. Be like, you know, just crush him. And so like I just disappeared, just gone. And I had superhuman LSD strength, so I was just gone. Dude, I vaporized. Like they didn't know what happened. It was just a puff of smoke, and I was gone. But like that was the heaviest, scariest scene, and the only negative scene I've ever had, you know. But that one sucked. That was a really rough experience for a deadhead. That was a bummer.
Sometimes you kind of take like the safety and the community aspect for granted until something like that happens. And it's kind of good to hear that. It's like, wait, guys, we need to course correct that right now. Like, this is not what we're about. This is not what we built. I get it. People want to be here, but we got to have a better way to do it. And that is
you have a
responsibility for multiple reasons.
You
build
go there to have a good time, but you still have a responsibility to not become somebody else's responsibility. You know, like,
yes.
If I fall out and you have to take care of me, that's not cool. You know, I had a guy, I'll tell you another this was funny. This was horrible. This was funny. I was at Buckeye Lake, and I lived in Columbus, Ohio. So like Buckeye Lake was home base, and that was just, you know, you might have 100,000 people show up in the parking lot. Like it was unreal, huge, just, you know, the whole scene getting in and out. And I was up on the hill. It was always super hot there every summer for whatever reason. It just seemed like it was always heat wave for those shows. And I'm up on the hill, and I was with a friend of mine, and I had a backpack on, and they were doing what was it? Wharf Rat, other one. And so they're in this beautiful Wharf Rat, and it's been so hot all day. And out of nowhere, just because, again, serendipity and the Grateful Dead is like peanut butter and jelly, they're playing this beautiful, soothing wharf rat, and here comes this wonderful, soothing, soft breeze. And my buddy and I are like, oh man, just perfect. And we're just like, just in the moment, just perfect deadhead moment. And this guy grabs me by my backpack, and I turn around, and I thought somebody was like trying to grab me or something. He's trying to steady himself. He's just like real drunk. Just a younger kid. Yeah, I was the here. He just grabbed, and I was like, "You good, man?" And he was a younger kid, and he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "You had a little too much to drink?" And he's like, "Maybe." And I was like, "Well, go sit down, man.
Maybe.
It'll be all right." And so he does it a couple more times, and I finally I had to like take his hand off me, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be a dick, but like, I'm here tripping my balls off, having the best time ever, and you're messing it up. So please don't grab hold of me or my backpack anymore, okay? Just sit down right over there."
Yeah, can I take you somewhere?
And he's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, close enough, So I go back to enjoy my wharf rat, and I hear that sound, and everybody knows what it is when the faucet gets cut on. I was like, what's that? And now all of a sudden, everybody looks, and this guy's peeing on himself. It's hot, it's dusty, and it's dry as a bone, and he's literally just standing there peeing on the ground, and everybody's like, oh God. And so everybody steps back, and then he just kind of sits down in it, cross-legged. He's done, and he sits down, and we're like, my buddy and I are like, oh God, like I don't even know how to help this guy. He just peed on himself, And
what do you do?
His friend runs up to him, and we're like, oh, thank God. And his buddy's like, oh God, dude, are you okay? I've been looking for you. And we're like, oh, cool. He's got his buddy, and because it's good to have a show buddy. And we're like, he's got his show buddy. We don't have to take care of it. Yeah. So his friend drops down in front of him on his knees and like, are you all right? And promptly throws up all over this guy. So now he's sitting in his own urine. His friend just threw up all over him. And we're like, it's time to go. So like we went, we vacated the spot, we wanted to have a good time. So we went someplace else. But yeah, like, so you do have a responsibility to take care of yourself and like, you can get weird as you want as long as you can keep your shit together. Like I'm a big fan of you get as weird as you want, but don't be a crappy neighbor. Don't be aggressive. Don't be leaning on people, and if you don't like physical contact, don't go down front because you're going to be getting pushed in every direction. And it's not on purpose by anybody. It's like we're all trying to hold ground. As Bobby would say, take a step back. Give your neighbor some room.
Yeah, I mean, again, I raved and I was a DJ for so many years that there's a lot of similarities between the two worlds. But yeah, it's like the designated driver. If you're going with a group of friends and y'all are just like gonna have one, there's always the trip sitter. There's always the designated driver, right? There's always somebody there that's gonna like not try to console you and puke in your face at that moment. Like things can go off the rails. Sometimes you need to herd the monkeys back into the car, but there's ways to do things wildly but responsibly. And that was more of my youth. I couldn't do that anymore, but a lot of great times. But we always handled our shit, and that was the rule. If you can handle your shit, you can hang.
Yeah. But I'd also be down to tell like some of my favorite stories. Like that's it for bad stories with the Grateful Dead.
Well, good, because we definitely, let's give away these beans first, but we definitely have to redeem the Grateful Dead shows because those are like the complete outliers of what happens, but they're funny, dude. They're good stories because they painted such a visual picture too, and probably a lot of people in chat may relate to it or have been to a show or a festival or even like the county fair when you guys went and you took that one friend, right? You took that one friend who just doesn't know their limits.
Yep.
Yeah. We've all been there, dude. Let's real quick. Let's remind people, everybody. So 2-for-1. If you are in the US, type 2-for-1 into chat. You are getting a 2-for-1. You are going to get a no joke from myself, and I believe it was a dealer's choice from the man right here. Let's put that up. Boom. Yeah. Oh. That's awesome. I know, right? I'm late on it. There we go. That's cool that you got some stickers printed up. And I also saw on your Instagram some of the packaging that you made, and it had like a nice looking stamp on it. I thought that was pretty freaking cool. I almost was like, well,
I like the paper. I like the paper envelopes just because I'm, like,
yep.
As the head, an organic grower, a sustainable grower. Like, I'm trying to do as little packaging as possible.
You're such a hippie. Why don't you grow dreads already? God.
Right. I should grow today.
Totally.
I should try it.
You should try some of that reefer once. All right, let me go ahead. I hear good things about it. Oh, damn, man.
Speaking of.
Who's it gonna be? Baker B Bake Shop. Right on. Baker B Bake Shop. I believe we've talked through Instagram before, but just reach out to me. My Instagram is down in the show notes. Also, a link to my website, chadwestport.com. If you go to the info tab, scroll down, you will see my magical email there. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. You can do either way.
DM me right here at Tattoo Sadhu at Instagram.
Yep, Tattoo Sadhu. And Brandon's link is also down in the show notes too. So you should be able just to click right on the link down there and you'll be connected with him. You can send the info to me. I will get it to him. But either way, congratulations, dude. And
let me know if you want short or long flower. Because I got some fire 12 weekers, but most people don't want to. That's an investment in time. That's a commitment.
Right, but
relationship.
Sometimes it's worth the wait. So yeah, when you were talking about, you took off running, you were on acid, you had the superhuman strength. It reminded me of just one story from. It wasn't even at a show. It was a Halloween night. Me and my friends, we were out we walked down this, we were probably 14, 15. I'm not sure. We weren't driving, but we walked down, halfway. Actually, dude, we walked down by the old KIS nursery down on Avondale.
Oh, wow.
We had a friend. Okay. Yeah. We had a friend who had a house down on Avondale right at the end of Education Hill. And we were hanging out at their house for a while and we were just tripping balls. And then we were walking back to my apartments, which was that way down Avondale. And we were just having fun. And on the way back, we were walking and I was talking to a friend and I turned around. All of a sudden there was these trash cans in front of me. So I karate chopped the cans over and we're just it was funny. But then 5 minutes later, this truck pulls up onto the curb to all of us and was, he knew what we did. And we're just whoa, man, chill. We'll go back. We'll pick it up. No problem. Sorry, man.
It's karate, bro.
Exactly. So we started walking back that way towards the dude's house and he got in his truck and he as soon as he drove far enough that way, we booked it, but we knew he was going to come back. So we ran up this hill, through these houses that were being built. It was a whole thing. And we're okay, because we had a whole bunch of weed on us. We had a whole bunch of illegal things. And so they're okay, somebody's got to go get the car. So yeah, somebody was driving at that point. But anyways, we're somebody's got to go get the car. And we're all hanging out this cul-de-sac. And I was okay, I'll do it. We've already seen the cops drive by now because they're looking for us. I got down onto the road. I looked left, I looked right, and there was nobody. And I just started running as fast as I can. And I saw headlights. I'm making the story way too long. I apologize, guys. But I saw headlights and I because I was convinced it was going to be cops. I dove into the pricker bushes and it went by and it was a limo. And I was you're oppressing me. Yeah, there you go. Long way to say when we got back and I finally picked up the friends, they were we have never seen buddy run that
That
fast.
fast.
Like you hit the concrete and we're just gone. And I was, you know, that moment where you just feel it, like legs are just, you're flying. That's what it felt like on acid. So I'm sorry, everybody. I just wasted 2 minutes of your time with that story, but it's important to me. It felt good.
I'm telling my brother, because he's not here to defend himself. My twin brother, when we were in high school, we were pool hopping in the city pool with a whole bunch of kids, and we had been doing it too often. I was like, man, they got to be on to us. I'm not doing it tonight. And everybody's like, oh, whatever, you know, chicken. And I was like, As soon as everybody jumped into the pool, lights came on everywhere, cops everywhere, and I was gone. High school soccer player, gone. I was home in bed before the cops got out of the car, you know. And my brother jumped the fence and ran up a tree. Well, a cop pulls up, parks right under his tree. So he had to stay there until they finished, like, you know, like getting kids home to their parents, like shooting the shit. We got them, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So my brother
got those reefer heads.
Hours.
Tree's not a bad place to go, honestly, man. People rarely look up in those situations. Like if you can't get away, climb. But
yeah, they were circled, and so he just went up a tree. Thought it was great.
That's freaking hilarious. I bet there's, you know, raise your hand in chat if you have had to jump the fence to get away from the cops. I know I definitely have a number of times, whether it is because of having something I shouldn't.
Hurdled the fence.
Mainly, yeah, most of it was because I had a skateboard, but there were definitely times where I had to run because I was not going to get caught.
Can I tell you a really fun near miss? I've got some good near miss stories. There's
please.
I think that, you know, it's interesting for people, for some people, you know, like my friends' kids who are growing have never ever had to be scared of getting in trouble for weed, really, you know?
Right.
So I'll make this one short. I had driven up to Michigan to see a girlfriend, and I'll be diplomatic and I'll say it didn't go well. And so I was living in South Carolina, and so my brother was living in Ohio, and I had a bunch of friends in Ohio still. And so I was very unhappy with how the visit went. And so I just drove straight from the Upper P in Michigan straight to my brother's house, went out with some friends, grabbed a whole bunch of herb, but it was all in eights. Like I was going back to South Carolina, and I grabbed a bunch of different stuff, but it was all in eights. So I had a couple of pounds in eights.
Ooh, that's dangerous.
Real dangerous. Under a hoodie in the back seat of my car. And so I'm driving this. Don't do this, kids. Don't try this at home.
Yeah, no, this is already monumentally not smart.
Things. Yeah, and so I'm driving with my knees, rolling a joint in a thunderstorm, doing like 90 and a 75 in West Virginia with dreadlocks.
Of course.
You know, and as I'm going up the hill, I see a highway patrol coming down the hill, and like he's already got his lights on. He's got me. Yeah, this is all alleged, you know, like, you know,
allegedly.
As if this happened, this is how it would have happened. And to quote OJ.
Oh, God.
What a weirdo.
You had driving gloves? No. Okay.
Right. So he's coming down the mountain. I'm going up the mountain, and they've got one of those really steep runoffs in the middle because they want to channel a lot of water. And, he buried the nose of his cruiser into that, kicked it around, mud going everywhere. And I'm sitting there like I'm putting stuff away. I got the windows down. I'm airing out the car, and I hadn't smoked. I was just getting ready to. And so I was pretty confident there wasn't going to be smell by the time he got up to me, but I knew he had me. I just went ahead and pulled over and wanted to make it as easy as possible. And so he's throwing mud everywhere. He whips up behind me, gets out, and he's highway patrol, West Virginia, and he comes over and he's like, where's the fire? And I was like, man, there's no fire.
What a dick.
I just drove all the way from South Carolina to catch my girlfriend with somebody else, and I'm just not in a good mood, man. And honestly, I'm glad you pulled me over, because she's not worth getting in trouble or hurting myself or somebody else, man. So yeah, sorry, my head was just up my ass. I'm sorry. And
Well played. Well
he was
played.
kind of, huh? And because I don't think that was the reaction he was expecting. He's like, license, registration, all that stuff, and I was like, yeah, here you go. I keep it in an envelope. I've been pulled over so many times. I have a route. I have a whole thing for that. I have a folder for them. Get to know me. Like,
can you sign the inside with everybody else's name, please?
Right. Here's some other cops that have pulled me over. I'll give you a good review. 5 stars on arresting this guy, and he's very compliant. And
he was very gentle with the cuffs.
Yeah. No. But so he's like, what am I going to find when I look you up? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, what on your record? And I was like, oh, nothing. I'm chill. I just had a really bad weekend. And he's like, okay. Goes back to the car, and he's sitting in the car forever. And I'm like, oh, I'm toast. I'm in West Virginia with all this in the back seat under a hoodie. Yeah. I'm toast. And I'm like, I'm really thinking like it's over. And like, I'm thinking he's calling for backup because he's in the car for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Or a dog or something.
Well, he writes, we're getting there. So he writes me this $250 ticket. And I'm like, yes, hell yeah. Right. Give me $1,000 ticket. I don't care, man. Just get me out of here. And you could take my right foot if you need to. Like, but I got it. I want to leave. And he gives me the ticket, and he's like, well, slow down. And something about like, if you don't pay this ticket, I'll come down to South Carolina and get you. And I was like, fair enough. And so I'm like, oh, I made it. And he starts walking out, and he gets to the end of my car, and he stops. And I'm like, oh no. Oh, no. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. And I had taken a class. There was this guy, he was a California highway patrolman. He had the record number of bus and record biggest cannabis bus. And then his brother got busted. His brother got busted with a bunch of herb. And did I say meow? No, I did not. I was airtight. I was terrified. No meows. I have meowed, but not holding 2 pounds and 8. So I'm not going to meow at anybody. I might try to jump it off a bridge into the water, but I'm not meowing.
All right.
But so he
must have just floated in, officer.
Oh God! But I had taken this class because this guy started his brother got busted, so he started teaching people how to not get busted, and that class shaped my life, dude. Because he was like, if you've got nothing, an eighth or something, you might want to fess up, Right. He's like, there are rare occasions. He's like, never give him permission unless all is lost. He's like, I'm talking, you are just dead to rights, screwed to the floor. And I was. He's like, you might want to bluff. And so one of the things he talks about doing is you always want to cover up your jugular, because that's one of the things they can use in court to say that your jugular was pounding. And so you were nervous. And so I have a built-in scarf. And so, and he's coming back. And so I lean out the car a little bit, and I was like, are we okay? Because he's trying to stick his head back in my car for probable cause.
Right.
It was all in the class. It was all in the class. And so I'm blocking him so he can't get in the car. And he's like, well, I'm a canine unit. And I was like, oh, this is just going nowhere, man. This is strike 3. And I just was like, well, what would a totally innocent person say? I was like, that's really cool, man. I love dogs. I have a dog, best friend I've ever had. Do you train your dogs? Does it come home with you? Like when it retires, are you going to keep it? Like, I'm assuming
you're just fucking with the guy at this point.
And he goes, I asked the questions, and I was like, all right, man, you said you're a canine officer, and I love dags. You like dags?
I like dags. Dags.
So, he's like, well, would you mind if I ran my dog through your car? And I was like, I don't think they covered that in the class. And
Does he have muddy feet?
so I was like, sure, tear it apart, man. I was like,
Oh
however,
no.
and I showed him my hands. I was like, I'm a tattoo artist, and I just tattooed a bunch of friends, and I've got some dirty needles, and I don't want your dog to like lick anything that's sterile, and I don't want you or your dog to get poked with any needles. And he heard dirty needle, and he said, have a nice day.
Yeah,
Bro.
holy shit, dude.
Like, I'm shaking just thinking about this story, bro. And he told me to have a nice day. And like, I was tempted to send a tip on that speeding ticket, bro. Like, here's $30 for your trouble, son. And so like, I know, and like, this is how weird shit is, bro. I pull over into the first gas station to have a nervous breakdown, just to fall apart, bro. And somebody left weed in the bathroom on top of the paper towel thing. There's a big nug of like nice dank
No
herb.
way.
And I was
What
like,
a
oh,
guy.
I'm smoking this shit right now, bro, in this bathroom. And I'm, you know, I'm the luckiest person ever. So that was a near miss. I had a great near miss right after Jerry died. I went to see a bunch of like Further and Bob and Rob shows and stuff, and had a really funny experience in the parking lot where my first wife and I were in our bus, and some kid came and knocked on the bus on the window and was like, hey man, could I sit down in your bus for a minute? And we we're like, yeah, you good? And he's like, yeah, I needed a little space to get my head together. And I was like, yeah, bro, come on in. So we opened up the bus, we sit him down, we're like, you know, roll up a joint, we smoke him out, like, and he's like, yeah, man, I was peaking there hard. I just needed some earth to cling on to. And so like we hung out with this kid for like a half an hour, you know, and gave him something to drink, and you know, got him high, you know, got him relaxed. And he was like, man, thank you guys. I hope you guys have a great show, man. You guys just saved my show. And we're like, awesome, you know. So we're all feeling really good about it. And he walks away and he comes running back. And he broke off. And this is the only time I've ever had really, 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 really good opium. And he broke us off a chunk of opium and was like, thank you. You know, he's like, you're going to like this. And so we went and saw Bob and Rob. It was an outdoor show and somewhere close to Detroit. And it was an amazing show. I took some L, and there was this amazing, beautiful pink sunset behind the stage. And something between the L and the sunset and the opium and something with that combination made this giant pink and gold dragon come down out of the clouds, and like I could feel the wind as it like buzzed us. I dove on the ground and was like, you guys didn't see that, you know, you're lost. I'm very visual on psychedelics. And I was like, you know, so we leave this incredible show, and I'm thinking I'm super smart. I'm going to take a right because everybody's taking a left, you know, and I'm like, they're going to be checking everybody, you know. And so I'm like, and we pull out right, and it's nothing but cornfields. And I was like, well done, B. And got my brights on. I'm in my Volkswagen bus, and we're putting down the road. And come around the first corner of these cornfields, and I light up a highway patrolman, and I'm like, dummy, you big dummy. They set a backdoor trap and you fell for it, you big idiot. Instead of being one of thousands of zebras, you're the only zebra, you know. And so immediately pulls out right behind us. And so I'm like, okay, teamwork. You watch the speedometer, I'm watching the road, you know. And so we're driving, and it starts to thunder and rain and lightning. And I'm like, ooh, you've got to be kidding me. And so like, and we're in these, like, thank God we're in like a 35 mile an hour zone for most of this, because it was like out in the middle of nowhere in this like little tiny towns. And so I had to go slow. And at one point, like, and I don't know how many people here have driven a Volkswagen bus, but the steering's something like this on the best ones. And so all of a sudden I go over this little tiny bridge with a gap about that tall, and I hear boom. And in my state, I think the alien from the Twilight Zone episode where it's eating the plane is eating my bus, because there's something going
Oh
boom, boom,
no.
boom, boom, boom underneath my bus, and it's my stabilizer bar broke. So now it's steering
Oh
like this,
shit.
and I got a highway patrolman up my butt, and somehow landed it at a hotel, and he just went on down the road. So I go in, and like I just pulled into the first parking lot. I was like,
Yeah.
I just
Oh
want to
yeah.
get off the road. Like, this is bad. And it's middle of the night, and there's some kid, and he's behind the desk, like an 18-year-old, summer job, and he's looking at me like, you look, yeah. So what can I do for you? And I was like, man, if I slept in my bus in your parking lot, would anybody call the cop? Would that be okay? And he's like, well, I'm not going to call the cops. And I was like, perfect, my man. Thank you. You have a great night. And he goes, hey, if you stayed here and had a really great stay, would you write a good review? And I was like, yes, I would. And he's like, hang on a second, come here. And so he comped us a room, and it's just the whole Grateful Dead. Like, there was just always something looking out, man. But like, I'm super visual. I remember a show one time in Auburn Hills, and my twin brother was there, and thank God he was there. I was with my friends, Doug Muji, Rob Zedeker, Joe. There's a big bunch of really awesome people. And most people who are familiar with the Dead know what spinners are. And there's certain people that they just spin, and they never get dizzy, and they just spin the whole show. And it's a meditative thing. There's like the Sufis, like those folks that spin and they get into a trance, and like and so it's what they do. And a lot of times, because it takes up space, they would do that out in a stadium show, in an indoor show, a Coliseum show. They would be on the walking tiers around, and so like those little spotlights of light where you would see out into, from the dark arena, you would see out into the hallway, you'd see the hallway lights, and you'd see people spinning. And one night I was just in the perfect balance that I all of a sudden started seeing people. We were in the second story. I started seeing people hovering above, at my eye level, spinning out over the crowd. People were dancing in midair. And I turned to my brother and I was like, hey, you see this? And he was like, what in the hell are you talking about? And I'm like,
Oh no.
and I was like, oh, I get it. Only the people who are tripping hard enough can see it. Oh, sorry, next level. Only the people who are tripping hard enough can do it. Man, I had one leg over the rail. I was ready to go. I was sure I could do it, And I was gonna go dancing, man. My brother like grounded me for the whole second set. He's like, you sit in a chair, son.
Yes.
So I used to push the envelope, but I got very lucky. And what is it? A streetcar named Desire. I depend on the kindness of strangers, or the something like that, generosity of strangers, something like that. But like, it's a good scene. Everybody was looking out for each other. We were young and stupid to some extent, and lucky. And there's something to be said for that.
There was a lot of experimentation, though. There was a lot of like finding freedom and finding yourself, and a lot of people. There were different levels of people on the lot. There were the people who may have taken psychedelics for their first time, and they were having, because they're like getting in touch with themselves, or hopefully not tripping bad, but finding that out. And then there's people who are, like, dude, we've done this 200 times last year, so we know. But that's the great thing about like a community just kind of like coming together, or starting not from scratch, but not mainstream at all. There's more like economic incentive now, but I think like particularly with the Grateful Dead, it's retained a lot of the original vibe to it. I mean, things do
The
change
vibe
again.
is
Like my
the vibe's
wife,
still
yeah,
here.
my wife used to do Burning Man a lot, but like 10, 15 years ago, it's like the Burning Man of today is much, much different than the Burning Man of 10 to
My
15
friend
years ago. And I
Louisa,
think that's, yeah,
Louisa
something that's
Hit
held.
says the same thing. She was like, I wouldn't even
Yeah,
go now. She's like, it just doesn't
no.
feel homespun, But the Dead lot, Dead and Co. and stuff like, um, I haven't gone to see Dead and Co. But the lot is still the same and really cool and getting grounded. Yeah, yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
can I tell you my favorite Grateful Dead story? Just to like switch it up.
Absolutely. Let's do that, and then we'll give away some more beans. So let's go for your
Okay.
favorite Grateful Dead story.
Okay, so I saw a lot of shows and I saw a lot of amazing music. Just absolutely amazing music and a lot of really great and very funny times with friends. But the highest absolute peak vibe moment as a Deadhead was the very first Unbroken Chain with Phil in Philadelphia. And there had been like, I remember being in an Albany show, I think in like 90, where everybody in the bathroom was talking about how, they sound checked Unbroken. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. And we were like, well, oh my God, this would be incredible. And so for people who don't know, Unbroken Chain is a song that had never been played live. And it's got some very, you'd have to practice. It's got some fairly difficult changes in it and some weird sound effects in it that I find particularly pleasing under the right circumstances. And it's a pretty song. It's a pretty ballad, but it's also got some nice change up tempo to it. But because it's an unplayed song for Deadheads, who have a long box of yep,
Yeah.
never played it. So it was real exciting. And they closed the first set with it. And Phil got a standing ovation for the entire set break. Like you can't hear the beginning of the song. Like when they did the first, let Phil sing. When they did the first notes, the place erupted. It's like making my hair stand up. The place just exploded. Awesome. There was some, like, I'm 6'3". There's some giant dude, like 6'10", bodybuilder. He was there with his brother-in-law, who was a big Deadhead. This guy, not so much. And I'm hanging off this guy's neck, just like, yeah, screaming. And that was his backpack guy. Like, get off me, bro. And but that moment, as far as like, I've just never, and I've seen thousands of concerts. I've seen lots of reggae, lots of jazz, lots of bluegrass, lots of, all the Stones, Floyd, the Who, like I've seen thousands of concerts. And Good Herb gets you, places where you can,
Yes, it
where you
does.
can have some interesting experiences and stories and stuff. And like that, nothing has ever come close to that, as far as just like the crowd and the band and just the absolute just peak, just amazing. And like when they came back out, Phil came out late from the set break, and the place just went crazy again. And then what was North Carolina was the next, and so we went and grabbed a bed sheet from like a dollar store and wrote "Thank you, Phil," and "We love you, Phil," and just walked around the lot and had anybody that wanted to sign it. So like you can imagine, everybody wanted to say "Thank you, Phil," and then we handed it up to him on stage, and that was like a really cool peak. Just and then to get to do that tour and see it happen. So your buddies that missed it in Philly, they join you in North Carolina, and you're like, oh, they're going to play it. They're going to play it one of these days. And then they did. And like North Carolina just went crazy because there was a bunch of people there that, so it was just that made that that tour had some, yeah, it started better than it ended, but it was, man, that was a cool moment. That first Unbroken.
That that's dude, that's really special, especially for people who have followed it and have listened to hundreds and hundreds of songs, hundreds of hours to hear something that doesn't get played live. You know, again, as a DJ, it was always like the dub plate, it was the new release. It's like the producer sent it to me. I'm gonna play this out live. I know it's not out there. Like nobody's like you've heard it in their sets on the radio, but to like have something, be able to play it for the first time and I've been on both ends of that. Like, you know, I've heard it on, you know, the radio a ton, but then to be out live and to like hear the beginning notes, to hear it drop the first 8 bars, you're like, is it? Is it? Oh my gosh. And that's one thing that I loved about DJing so much. And you know, you hit this too with the collective. It's that collective just like brainwave, that collective excitement, collective like anticipation. There's nothing better than like you know they've heard it and you're like working it in, you're dropping it, and there's like 1,000 people staring at you with this like anticipation and you drop it and everybody just that collective just like yes, that collective like moment of celebration. There is nothing that beats that, man. It's just like so pure and so raw. That's you know that's almost the thing that I always chase is just that
It was
harmony,
amazing.
I guess.
It was just
Is
amazing.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like I'm
I can
getting
only imagine.
an endorphin rush just from thinking about it. Like, yeah, just amazing. Yeah.
I can only imagine. So that's freaking cool, man. That's good to hear that you got to see that. While I get up these next set of beans here, what is the one song or songs that you didn't ever hear from them?
Okay. So the song that I know and I've heard some beautiful renditions of it from everybody, from Merle Saunders, from Melvin Seals, from Barry Sless, from Tom Constantin. All the Deadheads know who all these people are. You know, heard an incredible version with Bobby and Phil and Chris Robinson from Black Crowes fame.
Okay.
But it's Dark Star. And I never got a Jerry Garcia Dark Star. And like, that's that, you know, why hast thou forsaken me, Jerry? Why didn't I get a Dark Star? You know, and I always, I just, for some reason, it was always the show that I had to drop out and go home or, you know, whatever. And yeah. Dark Star got respect. Dark Star, you wanted to hear every note. People got quiet. But I've gotten to hear, you know, but Dark Star is the song that changed my life. Dark Star is the song that, you know, like that
really?
song. Oh man, yeah. Like when they do whatever they do to my ashes, I want Dark Star playing.
Okay, that impactful, man. Most people do have a tune like that or something, but that's your
Hands
song.
down,
Now,
not even close. Dark Star for life. There's that, you know, and like Phil said, Dark Star's playing, or maybe it was Jerry, but Dark Star's playing all the time. It's just that song's out there, and they just, if they're gonna play it, they just grab it and they just plug in and it just does its thing. It's just that, you know, because I liked a lot of, you know, like I liked Zeppelin, I liked Floyd, I liked the Beatles, I liked the Stones, I liked the Who, I loved Airplane, but the Grateful Dead, you know, the first stuff I got introduced to by Chaz Nelson, rest in peace, a homie from high school, and let me give a little shine on Chaz because he left way too soon. He's a young dude when he passed, and he was one of the people that turned me on to the Dead. Him and Chris Butler, Ed was his nickname, and Chaz is the first person that ever smoked me out with the real roadkill skunk, like
whoa.
Would have been like 86, 87, somewhere in there. And yeah. And so his brother, I think his brother was a deadhead and was older than us. And I think his brother, he was like real handsome dude, clean shaven, long hair. And he was like I don't know what kind of model, but he was some kind of model. And so he, so he did modeling. And so he, and he was deadhead. And so he just was in these weird circles. And somebody was like, hey man, have you ever smoked this? And so that was where we got some of that, and he was a real sweet guy, deadhead, real nice guy, man. Chaz Nelson, super, super dope kid.
Yeah. First person to smoke the proper roadkill skunk with you, man. That is one. The last time that I've like smelt it was exactly as you described, Deadlaw, earlier. It was in the snowboard parking lot. It was like right around the year 2000. We were, just walking back to the car to take our own smoke break, and I smelt it. I'm like, what the, like, yeah, I know what that is. And I had jars with me. I grabbed my jars, and I was going to offer a jar for just a bud, like whatever the person would part with.
Right.
And
you want all my
dude,
gear?
I walked. Yeah, pretty much. Dude, I walked all around that lot. Gone, nothing. Like it's probably lingering there for like a few hours, but dude, that's the closest, or the last time I've been close, the last time I've been near it. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, it was just instant, dude, follow the nose.
My twin brother called me to come over and hang out at his place. Him and my sister and their boyfriend and girlfriend all lived in this big house at Ohio State together. And my brother's like, dude, you got to come over. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, you just got to come over. Because back in those days, we were like super paranoid. We didn't talk on the phone, and if people were being corny on the phone with you. Did I leave my green sweater at your house? No, you didn't.
Like, no, I need a skate. Like, now remember all the pager codes, like 420-40-911. Pager codes.
911. Yeah. But so my brother was like, you got to come over. And I was like, okay, I got to go over there. So I go over there, and he was friends with this young kid whose dad was in a two-wheeled social club. And his dad was the grower for this two-wheeled social club in Central Ohio. So that tells you,
serious, dude.
And he passed away. And so the kid took over the cultivation for them. And so he brought this over to my brother's house in this cookie tin. It was full. And I remember doing one bong rip, and I was sitting 3 feet from the door, and I was so high that I leaned to whoever was on the couch with me, because I can't remember, and was like, I gotta get out of here, man. Like, I was so high.
That's bad. I gotta get out of here.
I wasn't scared to do 2 10 strips at a dead show, but I was so high off this weed that I was like sweating. I was like, I gotta get out of here, man. I'm like, I can't even talk. And they were like, well, go outside. And I was like, here's the door. And they're like, you're sitting inside it. And like the door materialized. Like it was gone. It wasn't there when I looked a second ago. And then it was there. That was like, that's a cultivar that if I could, it was the most psychedelic cannabis I've ever had. And then like I went out and I sat in my car, and my brother came out and he's like, dude, you're not going anywhere. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm sitting down. And he was like, yeah, that sounds like something a sober person would say. Come on.
It sounds, yeah. Your brother sounds like a smart guy.
I was, yeah, he kept me from spinning out over the crowd. He's been very clutch.
Yes. He's a good trip sitter.
Yep.
Coming in clutch. Let's I just grabbed a random pack here. Mr. Spliff of Cannabis had sent me a huge bag of beans to make sure we can get them away to people, and that's what we do all the time in every show. You can kind of see his logo here in the middle. Hopefully it focused. But Mr. Spliff of Cannabis, if you look that up on YouTube, Mr. Spliff of Cannabis 420, you will find his channel. But my random grab produced Wiggle biscuits, which actually sounds completely appropriate for Deadhead as the giveaway word. This may have a little bit of smell to it, though. We're just talking skunk, but this is the GMO wedding cake crossed with sour sage. So if you guys are in the US and you'd like to play for this pack of Wiggle biscuits, just that's why you have been typing Deadhead into the chat. So we'll let you guys go. We'll let you enter a little bit more before we do give the Wiggle biscuits
I'll match
away.
you. I'll match you again, Chad. I'll match you again. I'm happy to send out a pack.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm never going to make any money. Like those times have come and gone. I made money. Like, well, allegedly. Those days are gone. And
Yeah.
I'm never going to be famous and wouldn't want to be. But if I can, in any way, shape, or form, Johnny Appleseed cannabis into the world, don't you dare let me. Like, I got a funny story for you. So I had a bunch of plants way over, like everybody knew back in the day, you kept it 99 and under. You didn't ever want to have fed numbers worth of plants.
Yep.
And I had gone way over the number, allegedly. And there was a gas leak in front of my apartment. I lived in like a brownstone up on top.
Jeez.
And the gas company came and knocked on the door and wanted to come in and turn off all the gas appliances. And I was like, oh, I can do that. I'm a grown up. I got you. And and they were like, well, we're gonna do it. And I was like, well, no, you're not cops. You're the gas company. I got you.
Right.
Got it. Have a good one. And then I had the sweetest dog in the world, Bagheera, and I've got a cultivar named after her. That's the best friend I've ever had. 16 years. That's my ride or die. That's my first kid. That's my baby. And like in 16 years, we maybe spent 4 nights apart. Like that's my homie, and she's my bestie. And but she also, because I lived in this real sketch neighborhood where like people got shot all the time, and there's a lot of break-ins and stuff. So if I knocked on anything, if I did this with my hands, or if I said, she was trained in Spanish, there's a couple things like matalo, she would go off, but she would go off. And they're like, well, what's in there? And I just knocked on the door and she went off. And I was like, that's in there. You want it to come in here? And they were like, we'll be back. And I was like, we'll be back. Like,
what does that mean? What does that mean?
Are they coming back with the cops, So I got really scared. And I had so back in the cannabis culture magazine days, the Mark Emery days, and we used to order seeds, and one of the things I'd gotten, what was it, Mikado, which we thought was Mikado. We had no idea, but it was, and we had bred it back to itself, done a bunch of seeds, and I had like just a ton of cuts off of that. And I was like, I got to get these out of here. And, they said they're coming back. I don't like that. And so I had a frame backpack, like for, multi-day backpacking, and pretty heavy duty. And so I filled it up with all these cuts and jumped on my mountain bike. I was living in Charleston, South Carolina, one of the more conservative places in the United States. And I went around that night as soon as it got like, 2:00 in the morning, like after the, restaurants were closed and everybody had gone home. I went and planted every single restaurant flower box in downtown Charleston. I planted the whole campus. Like I put plants out everywhere. And then it was like that scene at the end of Rockers, because like I'm sitting with friends and they're like, bro, somebody put pot plants in the window at our restaurant. I'm like, what? That's so cool, And like my buddy Casey, it's another guy I wish was still here. Rest in peace, Casey. He brought some over to smoke and was like, dude, this grew at our restaurant, And I'm like, let's try it, How cool. But so I'm out dumping those plants off. And the last little twist was like, because that was fun. That was I love the little, I'm a prankster. I love stuff like that. And
Yeah, it's not harming anybody.
no, and a lot of people benefited from it. A lot of people got some free herb, and they were filming that movie, The Notebook. It was like probably 4 o'clock in the morning by then. So that movie, The
Yeah.
Notebook, was out a long time ago.
Huh.
But so I watched. I'd already dumped all my plants, but I just kind of sat in the shadows and watched them film this movie in downtown Charleston in the middle of the night. You know, so that was kind of
That's
funny.
awesome.
Just went on my merry way home, and they never came back. So,
Huh.
yeah, weird.
That's kind of cool. That's it's interesting that they do a lot of the filming at night. I've been around like some of the Twin Peaks filming out here uh, in the Pacific Northwest, specifically in North Bend. But yeah, they do. And oh my God, the lights, they make it look like daytime. But anyways, that's a whole nother side distraction story. Um, let's give away these beans here real quick. Again, guys, one more time, we are going to play for a pack. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. A pack of the Wiggle Biscuits. Wiggle Biscuits. And this is from Mr. Spliff of Cannabis. It is the GMO wedding cake crossed with the sour sage. So Wiggle Biscuits. And we're going to be doing a dealer's choice over here from Brandon as well. That is freaking rad. And again, as Brandon mentioned earlier, you know, long flowering, short flowering. If you just talk to Brandon, find out, actually, ask for the list, guys. Ask for the list. If you talk to him and have something in mind, or you know, a particular direction, I guess I'll stop talking about you in the third person here. But you have a good like background and knowledge of so many different varieties, and you've worked with a lot of different ones that you will be able to probably narrow in on something that a person is looking for, even if they don't have the right words for it. So that's what I was trying to get to there. Yeah. Yep. Well, all right, guys. So if you're in the US, again, good luck. I will write this down here. Who's it gonna be? It is Some Bitch. That's rad. Some Bitch is a good dude. I am very happy to see that. Shout out to Some Bitch Seeds, who actually himself has been a sponsor of bean giveaways on this show. I've given away more than dozens. Like that's how big of a supporter Some of a Bitch Seeds has been. So it's cool to see him win one. So we're gonna get some. I got a special little package for you, brother. Please send me your address. You know how to get a hold of me, and we'll put together something special. And we'll get something from Brandon for you. I know you're going to like it. He is a big fan of quality genetics.
He's a
And
pothead.
he's done a lot of searching. Yeah, he's done a lot of searching. A pothead. He does a lot of searching. That's awesome. All right, so Some Bitch Seeds. I'll put this down here for you. We'll get that. Let's talk about though some of the things that I've seen you posting recently. Some of the crosses that you've made, and it all started. Was it with one particular male that you were working with, or do you want to tell people kind of what you have? Because I saw, again, I saw a lot of the stamped packages on your IG, and I'm like, that's cool. That really fits. I'm glad, again, a connoisseur is making selections and getting things out to people.
I think like everybody, I make what I like primarily. I'm chasing certain things, and
Okay.
and I really I'm a sour diesel. Just that's I've got a platinum OG right now that if they said, hey, a tsunami's coming, you got room for one plant in your jacket.
Oh no.
That and my Bagheera, those would have to come with me. That platinum OG smells like gas and lemon pledge, and it's just the Bagheera, it's got gassy, fruity, skunky. It's just, that's my best friend. I've been looking to do a cross to honor her for, it was probably like 11, 12 years before I found something that I was like, it's like nobody will ever be good enough for your kid. It's the same way with her, with my dog. But this is something that I'm pretty proud of. And it checks all the boxes, as far as, like even the bag appeal stuff, which, I love what Tony from Budulero said about
Uh-huh.
bag appeal, because he's like,
He gives no fucks.
yeah, he doesn't. And he's like, growing up, because he was smoking good weed in 61. He was like, the best weed. It didn't look good. It didn't look nuggy. It didn't, and they're famous for the pearls, obviously. And so, like,
Yeah.
if,
I still have.
who would grow the pearls, if just based on appearance, definitely not.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a really interesting thing. I heard Dave from Crockett Family Farms talking to somebody one time, and he was saying, like, for a true, cannabis competition, he's like, everybody should just get blind joints of the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's like 90% of the people make up their mind before they even smoke it. I've got a Venom Runts right now that is absolutely fire. Just, it's, as far as like a hype strain, as far as like chasing those kind of terps, it's phenomenal. I've got a bunch of stuff that Green Bodie was kind enough to lace me up with, just a bunch, and it's a bunch of sours. It's his sour best shit ever. So I'm doing the first run of that. I'll take my favorites of that, and I've always got a expanding and rotating list of moms that I try to curate. And, I think, like, we've lost a lot of amazing cultivars because we weren't sharing them. If you've got something really, really special, make sure you give it to at least one homie, maybe two, share. And, I think people are so worried about not being able to monetize something that they risk, losing a cut. And, it's just not, these days, it's just not that hard to get, if you really wanted to cut, you there, in most cases you could, beg, borrow, or pay for it. You could get most cuts. You could reverse engineer them. There's a lot of things you can do. And so, like, it's tough on the breeders. And I'm not talking about myself, because I don't, I don't, that's not where I land, but it's, I'm a organic fertility specialist is what my niche. But for the people that their niche is
you're
breeding,
modest.
that's like, that's really, that's tough, because, it takes a lot. It's a big investment in time and in space and in resources, electric and that kind of stuff. If you're doing it indoor, to do breeding, to have stable breeding, responsible breeding, that's like, that takes a lot of work and a lot of passion to chase that stuff, because they could just be growing great flower and doing that, but they're not. They're like really passionate in chasing genetics, and they're, there's always, like, I love a bean. I just love a seed. It's like that present under a Christmas tree that the
get excited about the potential.
You don't know what's in there, man, and it might be the bunny suit that Ralphie gets, womp womp. But it might be the Red Ryder BB gun that you've always wanted, So I love a seed.
Shoot your eye out.
Yeah. So pop your beans. Don't hoard your beans.
There's
Your beans. Chase them.
There's a lot of potential behind them, and that's good that you are. Again, you're just getting them out, you're sharing them with people. The
Seeds is gonna that landscape's getting ready to change. That
yeah,
landscape's getting ready to change really fast. So I'm I moved from South Carolina halfway across the planet to Washington State, so I didn't have to worry about my two children with autism being terrorized if somebody kicked my door in, because I don't do anything that breaks the law out here. And so um, that's a really great feeling, and I'm not willing to jeopardize that for anybody or anything. And so if it means I have to shut down selling seeds, I shut down selling
yeah,
seeds, because it's just my family means everything to me. And so
yeah.
you know but it sounds like there's a loophole where maybe that fire ass platinum OG might be available. So
Yeah, exactly. I
there's
like that.
loopholes. There's loopholes.
That actually kind of goes to a question that just kind of like popped up here. Says, Chad Westport, what is the best way to pop a bean that is from 1996 that I have stored? And you kind of, alluded to the loophole. So as far as I understand it and read it, see it, clones and tissue culture is not specifically mentioned. And so that may be the transition from people doing seeds to, okay, now clones, or I personally like the idea of tissue culture. And I have some old beans, even older than this, like from the 80s, that I am still trying to pop. I have tried everything. I've tried scarification. I've tried um, hydrogen peroxide. I've tried aspirin water. I've tried cracking it open myself. But the new thing I want to be trying is, again, going down with my whole tissue culture journey. I'm learning it, guys. By no means am I in the position to educate people, but one of the things I understand is embryo rescue. So hopefully I will be able to crack open the seed. Hopefully there's enough like viable material within it to put it into tissue culture, and hopefully I'll be able to propagate some of the things I've never been able to get popped that method. But that's coming up here in this next year. I don't know if you had any advice other than, the quick ones that I just mentioned there: scarification, matchbox, sandpaper, hydrogen peroxide, aspirin water. I don't know if you have anything that you would recommend, Brandon, to help Nemesis pop something from 1996.
Right. You can always try to cold treat stuff. So you could throw it in the refrigerator, for a while, because the chances of seeds from 96 probably weren't stored properly, and so they're
Yeah.
pretty desiccated. And there is for the home grower, there's definitely a point of no return there, where you would need to have a lab to gibberellic acid is something that you can try.
Not sure what SES is.
I don't know what SES is. So I know people that do sprouted seed teas on the organic side. Chad was talking about the sandpaper. I have a friend, he wrote seed sander on this, but you just throw a seed in here, and while you're watching Barcelona beat Real Madrid, you
Ooh, sounds personal.
shots fired.
Exactly.
But yeah, so there's like scarification, cold treatment, gibberellic acid. There are things that you can do if you've got a lab, and but for a home grower, that's kind of it that I'm aware of. There may be some super obvious thing that I just don't know about.
Yeah, again, it's not really my area of expertise.
Yeah.
I've not spent a whole bunch of time looking into that, researching that. Haven't really had the need. I do have the desire, because there are a few things. Seed storage, you mentioned, completely important. 15 years ago, when I was making my first seeds, I still have just bags and bags of them. I can't get anything to pop these days. I didn't understand how to store seeds. So things change, but those are also some of the ones that I would like to get back. I used to have this Dutch treat that was just fucking so amazing. It was the one where it was like gone before it was even harvested. So I would love to get that back, and I've tried 100 at least since. Nothing cooking, man. But I'm not giving up hope because I still got a good thousands to try. So we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when I think about like the seeds that we used to throw out, like because we're both from the seed generation, I'm sure, and so
Yeah. Nobody was giving around cuts because
yeah.
that, it's what you mentioned earlier. And shout out Hala. Thank you for supporting, man. Wearing the Twin Peaks shirt. Grab those on the website, but he looks good in it. He's the best beard in the business. I mean, we go back and forth for the best hair, but Hala, he's got the best beard in the business.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so freaking fantastic. I even forgot where I was gonna go with that. What I was even in the middle of saying. Thanks, Hala. Way to go, dude. You answered this favorite plant question. Popping the beans question. Cool. Looks like I've gotten the questions that I started. Again, guys, if you guys have any questions for Brandon or myself, we're getting close to the end. So go ahead and toss them up. If you can, type question in front of them. I'm going to do one more pack of beans. Brandon, do not jump in here unless you just want to send them all to me, and then I'll mail them all out because I know mailing adds up, dude.
Yeah,
so,
why not do that? I'll do that. I'll match you. I'll just send it to you. That
perfect.
Works great.
That will work. Yeah, and then everybody, winners today, Bakers Bee, Baker Shop, someone bitch. Get me your information. It'll probably be the end of the week or maybe the following week when they get out to you, but I will send you a tracking. I always send people tracking. It's a little more expensive, but I like to do it that way. I want to put up something that was sent from a community member here, and he got one of my freebies, the Twin Peaks, which was just a seed increase that I did of another breeder. It was the Twin Peaks is the name of the strain. It's from Lucky Dog Seed Co. Skunk VA is the breeder there. He's one of the well agreed upon people as a holder of the chems. So he had Twin Peaks is a Chem 91 BX2 crossed with Chem Cis. I wanted to increase that population. I had a 10-pack. Took the males and the females, boom, pollinated, increase the population because I want to go through it and look for something that is more Chem 91 than the others. So I'm trying to pick something out from that. But I also gave away a lot of those seed increases. So this is the Twin Peaks that he got from me, crossed with his Panama Red. This is something he's been holding for at least 20 years, probably longer. I need to double check with that. But it's from THC Garage. So we'll put this one up. And again, this is going to be for the US folks. And then, want to put your sticker up? I'll put your sticker up. I'll blow it up. Full screen. Bam! There we go. I like that. I mean, is that a new design, honestly? Because I haven't seen, the colorways or the design lately. And that's pretty freaking awesome.
I did a couple of those. I did a different one with a line of judo on it. I've done a couple, and like my twin brother got a hoodie. I got a hoodie, but I might take some of those to like our conference that KIS does in Montana, and hopefully you'll be there.
I am this year. I do want to get.
What size do you wear? What size do you wear? I'll bring you a hoodie.
What size do I wear?
Yeah.
Ooh, I rock the double XL usually.
Okay, word. I got you.
That's badass. All right, let me put these up. But yeah, guys, you will get dealer's choice from Brandon. And again, not the slide, sorry. Share the screen. There we go. I'm struggling over here. Okay. Twin Peaks, guys. If you're in the US and you'd like to play for this pack of Twin Peaks crossed with the Panama Red from THC Garage, as well as a dealer's choice from Brandon, just go ahead and type Twin Peaks into the chat box. I did see a question come up here real quick from a Grateful Gardener. I have seeds I want to give away. How can I get them out to the community? Great question. Good cause. Thank you for thinking of it. I typically always recommend for people when I get this question to have a grow diary. Like, grow them out, show people what they can expect. Well, actually, the first thing I would say is test them yourself.
Yep.
Run a good number of them, or do it with a group of friends to make sure that you're not giving just beans away to people that will have problems. You don't want intersex traits. You don't want it to grow funky. So yeah, test them yourself. And then in that process, create a grow journal. Because I found, even with myself, it's hard to just buy them. I'm not an early adopter, but when I see some of these plants or I try the finished flower from something, that's usually how I get on to new seeds or seek out seeds. It's something that I've tried and be like, I need that. So that's probably my best advice. And then once you have that, anybody who comments like, hey, looks good, or like, wow, that's nice, be like, yo, I'd love to send you a set if you give me some feedback. Let's do it. What's your address? So would you have anything to add to that one, Brandon?
Well, I mean, you need to get a rapper to wear a T-shirt with your brand.
Shit. Flavor Flav.
Yeah,
No.
I think, for, Grateful Gardens, in the spirit of Deadheads, like I think the way that you just said, like you want to be responsible and you want to do the work, because when you give somebody some seeds, they expect that you've done some of the work. I can rap, yes, it's done. And so making sure that you've done your own quality control, or like Chad said, if you've got friends that have the space and want to do it, then do that. But keep your circle small until you're comfortable about that, and then get your fire herb in other people's pipes, and
Yep.
people will seek you out. I feel like that's like I was a tattoo artist for 20 years, plus, and what got me tattoos was other people walking around with my work and people going, oh man, I like that, where'd you get that? And so they'd come find you. And if you've got fire herb, people will come find you. Like you you
Yeah.
can't help it.
No, it happens. And that's cool. I do see here, he says he's got a bunch of, experience growing them. He's got diaries, tested them multiple times.
Okay.
And then he mentions the Real DGC, which is freaking rad. So all you other DGC that are sitting here listening and hanging out today, find him over on the realdgc.com. And you guys may be able to message each other and help each other out. So that would be awesome. DGC is an awesome freaking community. I have been going to their events for the past couple of years, the DGC Cup. They're going to be doing it again in June of this year. And that would be a great place. Like if you actually were able to come to the Cup and you had some of the flower with you, you just share it all around. Like I brought No Joke with me this last year, and I could have entered the Cup, but I would have rather shared, and shared is what I did. And just the feedback and the look on people's faces was freaking awesome. So yeah, if you can make it to the GGC Cup, man, do that. And because I did mention Recharge, I always like to throw out my discount code. Save yourself with 10% on the realgrowers.com website. Again, Scotty, the dude, Grambo, all those guys. I always like to support them. But the DGC Cups have been my favorite events for the past 2 years. This year, though, I'd like to say that I'm going to try to go, but Mary Jane Berlin, if we make it, is a week later. We're dealing with buying the farm, and then we're going to sell a house. And if everything goes fast, then I'll be there, but I'm not counting on it. The one thing I do know I'm going to be at this year, though, the one that I do have on my calendar is the last week of August in Montana with you, Tad,
Awesome.
and the farm that was featured on Canna Cribs recently. What is the name of the farm where you guys hold the event?
Elevated cultivation in Montana. And those guys, their facility is just amazing, absolutely top notch, and they grow some really nice flower. And like I get to see a lot of facilities because of my job. I consult with organic farmers, and I do fertility and IPM and a bunch of stuff, but mainly fertility for organic farms. And sometimes you go to visit and say hi and just be supportive, and sometimes you go to troubleshoot and consult. And so I get to see a lot of different farms, and this one is really, really nice. And there's a really great vibe with the people that work there. Like, because you walk into some facilities and people, I've walked into facilities and people just look beat up and tired, and
Yeah,
and then you
miserable.
go into
Most of them.
you and I both know Gold Leaf Gardens, unfortunately, just closed their doors. And part of the real bummer about that was primarily a bunch of family and friends from Hawaii who really did the aloha thing, and they had a really great community within the company. Like, they were always having fun, they were working hard, but they were having a good time. And it's man, and they put out some really amazing cannabis. I'm actually, part of why I'm always chatty, but part of why I'm chatty is I'm smoking on they had a cultivar called Rick James that is now essentially gone.
Rick James.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
no.
raspberry cheesecake times do-si-do, and it's just got just a phenomenal it's pretty strong, but it's really just laughy and fun, and just phenomenal herb. And Tad grew this, so I always volunteer to take all of Tad's harvest if he'll let me. And yeah, I'm his
yeah, we were talking about that Tuesday on the organic Q&A with Tad and myself. We were talking about that. We're actually looking at the video from those plants, which is rad. Again, that's every Tuesday on the KIS Organic YouTube channel, every second Tuesday of the month over here on the Chad Westport YouTube channel. Do the organic gardening Q&A. And yeah, I stand in for you on those weeks that it's over here, but you're also part of the regular programming over on the KIS Organic channel.
Yep. It's funny because I cured Tad's last harvest for him, and he had to drive up and come get some of his herb back.
Yeah, of course, you got to have a little bit there. You got to sample, all of the work.
Yeah. Well, it's like Oreos to me. Like, if they're in front of me, I'm gonna eat them. Like
totally.
There's good weed sitting there. It's gonna get smoked.
You have the jars for storage, and then you have the personal jars.
Well, I love people are always like, "How do you store your herb?" And I'm like, "Store it." What do you mean?
It doesn't stay around long.
What are you talking about? Store it. Yeah.
Do you ever do bubble hash or sifting or any washing with some of the material that you have, whether it's bud or
bubble hash?
That's what I like to do too.
Because I do, like my outdoor, just because our DLI drops off to nothing, the fungal pathogens, I don't care what you do, unless you're growing the no joke from Chad Westport, they crash out here outdoors. But so I got some absolutely phenomenal, very floral, just sublime hash off your no joke, because I had a bunch of it, and I did bubble hash with it, and it was top notch.
Proper.
And allegedly some of my nieces may have gotten some and also confirmed that opinion.
Yay, very nice, dude. One of the growers that you may have out next year, I know or at least KIS has worked with him in the past, but Steve Cantwell, he's got his organic facility down in Nevada, I believe. But my buddy John, Grow Space Killer, he's an award-winning hash maker out on the East Coast. But more people, I haven't even smoked my own hash, guys. So many people out there have smoked it. Like that was one example of a person that you may know. I'm like, yeah, he's got to smoke the no joke in the form. He's got to
Yeah.
smoke the, the Westport grape juice. Like
He was at
all
Soil
these people, man.
2 years ago, I think.
Okay.
I think he was 2 years ago. But anyway, yeah. And
how long?
Steve Cantwell's spot is pretty amazing, and I've seen his veggie garden side, like his farm side, and it's really nice. And Gentle Giant, like I have to say, he's an intimidating, like I'm a big boy. He's an intimidating fellow, and he's always smiling. He's just one, you know who he is and what he's capable of. And then two, he's just enormous. But he's such a nice guy and was such a great host and put on a great conference that I really enjoyed. And I can't say enough nice things about him. But like it was funny because like his speaking space was like a big tent, and people were smoking while people were talking, and like Steve was kind of sitting up towards the front. I was sitting kind of in the middle, and then somebody diagonally behind me was choking out while Bryant Mason was speaking. And that was one of the people I wanted to hear, And so,
I listen to him all day.
Yeah. Nothing but respect for that guy. And he's as nice as he is smart, and just super good guy. Like I'd say the same thing about Tad. Like those are two guys with a really good moral compass. Like they're both just good people. But so this guy's just coughing his brains out behind me, and at one point Steve Cantwell looked over and kind of gave him the mean mug, like, and I just got as low as that guy. Was like, oh, he's looking at that guy, right? But such a nice guy, man, and what a great grower,
Yeah, what he does with the plants and the way that he does it is really inspiring, because he does he does things that maybe we do in the tent, but he does it at scale, and that is a completely different ballpark. Like again, it's impressive to see somebody do it the way that he does it at the scale that he does it. I actually got to introduce myself or just say hello to him at MJ BizCon this year. He was on a few of the different panels, and I kind of caught him one time. We're like, "Hey, man, I'm Chad. Nice to meet you." But it's funny to me because you're mentioning like he's a big guy and stuff. Like I've been a UFC fan for over 20 years. Like I've followed the sport very closely. So to me, like it's a UFC fighter who grows weed, because that's how I knew him. Like at least 5-7 years before I actually knew about him in this industry, because I've watched his fights. Right. Like I knew exactly who he was. I was like, that guy, that's cool. Oh, wait, he's really smart. Oh, wait, he's doing things like very uniquely. Wow, that's freaking rad. But the discipline doesn't surprise me.
No. Yeah, he's awesome.
He was really cool to meet in person again. He was very gracious, and he was trying to listen as well. So I kind of kept it short. But so when you see someone that you appreciate and that you've learned from, it's always nice to be like, "Hey, man, thank you. Go ahead, carry on."
Super nice guy and an amazing athlete. Still, like
I imagine.
I saw him like he didn't hurdle it, but like. He ran and jumped over what must be like an 8-foot fence. Like
Jesus.
Like it was nothing. Like it was like he came walking back from that, and we were all like, "Good Lord!" Like,
would you eat your Wheaties today?
It just looked like something Batman would do. It was pretty impressive, dude. It was literally like, God, yeah, he has been training his entire life to just be a machine. Yeah, it was pretty impressive, man. But I can't say enough good things about him as a grower or as just a nice person.
Yeah. Well, that's again, it's good to build that community. A lot of people in the organic community kind of come from similar mindsets. So we may all get there in a different way, but at the core, we all have the same goal, and we all have the same I guess maybe compassion or, just the moral compass, whatever. Like, we know life doesn't have to be that complicated. So let's not try to make it, and just enjoy the time that we have and the people that we're around. So yeah, sorry to go off the rails with that one, but that's just what I love about the community, man. Again, everybody here in chat that's been hanging out with us all day. You guys have been having a good time together. You guys have been participating in the show. You've been having your own conversations, good jokes, helpful tips. Like, it's all good, man. I love it. So, Brandon, thank you again for being here and setting the bar for today. I
Thanks for letting
appreciate
me
it.
be on 200, bro. I'm honored.
Yes, show 200. We're gonna keep going for many, many more, guys. The Chad Westport YouTube channel, keep it locked. I'm doing every Thursday at 4 p.m. right now, Pacific Standard Time. I'm doing a series about cannabis, an intro series to cannabis breeding over on the AC Infinity YouTube channel. So make sure to check that out. Make sure to bring your questions. Again, we're just diving into it from the very beginning because, as we alluded to, with the new farm bill, seeds are probably not going to be available for people to purchase as of November. So I want everybody to at least have a basic understanding and a little bit of guidance before they go down that road. But we're encouraging you to go down that road. And like the Grateful Gardener, share, you can produce a lot of seeds. Share, test them, share. Brandon, you're doing the same thing. So do you want to let people know maybe what you have coming up or where they could find you before we go ahead and we do the last little giveaway here? Kind of let people know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah. So if people are interested in genetics, they can DM me on Instagram as Tatu Sadhu. They can email me, Brandon TAT, like tattoo, Brandon Tat at yahoo.com. That's the easiest thing to do. I'll shoot you the list. The list is too long for Instagram, so it's easier on email. Dark Star forever, man. Amen to that. And I work for KIS Organics. I am the agronomist over there, and I do soil analysis and recommendations for folks. But I've also got 40 plus years of cultivation. And so, I do a lot of plant sleuthing for folks,
Yeah.
what's wrong with my plant. And, so I just really, again, in the spirit of the Grateful Dead and out of love for Bob Weir, I'm just here to help, man. And, from like, here's my 26 thing, Chad, like my 2026 thing, like, you were just talking about the spirit of the community. KIS Organics is very focused on science-based and data-based organic cultivation with specific targets and math to do predictable, replicable fertility so that people can maximize both their yield and their expression. But from the Buddhist perspective of things, like the labels, like, oh, I'm a science-based organic grower, like that, I'm trying to drop that in 2026. And I'm an organic grower, but I'm a grower. I've been growing for 40 plus years. I've grown in coliseums. I've grown in deep water. I've grown in a bucket in a tree. I've grown in just just about any kind of thing. And, and it all worked. Every last time it worked. And and I do, my dad grew, my uncle grew, like all my aunts and uncles smoked. And so I grew up in a community with a bunch of, older hippies who all smoked. And so it's never been like a bad or shameful thing. It was a thing to be quiet about. You didn't tell people because there was legal implications, but like, it's never been a shame thing. And, like my mom's a retired botanist, and her sister ran Evergreen for the Carter Family Fold in Virginia, their nursery, and so there's some really neat plant people in my family. One of them's my mama, and like, it's really fun, like, to chit chat with my Aunt Betsy about, plants on a professional level, and to be able to, like that's the nice thing about coming out to the West Coast. I feel like I came out of the weed closet. Like I can talk about it and I can show, and like that's something I always try to just be respectful and grateful for, just the fact that we can even have this conversation.
Yeah,
Because
true
most
that.
of my, like going to Rich Stadium in Cleveland, and they've got cops standing up on top of the roof, and they've got the entire parking lot labeled off like battleship, and they just wire down that there's somebody smoking in B12. They come and
Wow.
sink your battleship. And there was times where even small amounts of cultivation would get you some insane mandatory minimum 30-year
Yeah.
sentences. And so the people that came with, like Gabby, Staten Island Gabby, super nice dude, super cool deadhead, the homie. He's definitely a friend and somebody I really enjoy. But we were talking about OGs. Who's an OG? Because I always say, like, when because I'm closer to 60 than anything, and people are like, "Oh, OG Brandon" or whatever, and I'm like, and it's just embarrassing because I'm definitely not an OG. Like my dad's generation, like they're an OG generation, because they
Yeah.
really exponentially moved the cannabis thing forward. But like I've got a book with a photo of some guy getting busted in New York in 1930 something, and then
Right.
who are the indigenous peoples all over the planet that cultivated for whatever reason, because how many generations did it take to get, we really like the kind that gets you high. How many generations did it take with each land race to for our human intervention to do that? And so we're all just trying to move the conversation forward. It's so amazing that we can. And in that spirit, I'm just trying to embrace as much community. Like I help salt growers all the time. Like I'm not dogmatic.
Yeah.
I don't
You
care
just
how
want to see
somebody
people
grows.
growing.
Yeah, I just want to see people growing. I would like it to be sustainable. I would like it to be, responsible, not crazy effluence and things like that. But like, I just want to see people growing, because like I couldn't, I did, but but we couldn't. And just the fact that, like, man, I'd plant them in my mailbox, like I just love to see it it's a beautiful plant, you know. If you don't have a plant count problem, put them in your front yard. Put them everywhere. It's just a beautiful plant.
Yeah. Well, the OG tag is definitely a generational things, because there are people who you consider OGs, and there are definitely people who consider you an OG. So it is generational. It's a compliment at its core, because you're a respected person who has offered and given things to the community in the form of education, good stories, the science behind it, and even genetics. So it's cool to get that a little appreciation. But I did see, I was trying to look to pull up the comment, but so I could give credit to the person who said it. But there was a person in chat who said, "Oh, Brandon is definitely an OG. His email is still at Yahoo." So you qualify. You qualify. You're OG right there. That's the line.
Yeah. No, I learned to type in high school, man. Like I learned on a typewriter. All my college papers were written
Oh
on
yeah.
typewriters.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Whiteout, not just something you sniff. No.
right, right. I don't know about OG, but
Oh.
old for sure.
There we go. There we go. Old goat. We'll just call it old goat. You're an old goat. No, that's mean. I'm playing, but let's give away these beans here real quick. Again, US only. We're going to give away the Twin Peaks crossed with the Panama Red, and this was from a community member, THC Garage. And we're going to do a dealer's choice from Brandon as well. And then again, Brandon, we'll just have you send those to me, and then I will get them out to the 3 winners from today. So good luck, everybody. Here we go. We'll see where it lands, where it goes. I always like this part. I forgot to enter again myself, but woo!
Hey,
Andrew Mahoney. All right. Oh, Andrew.
I love a giveaway.
I'm
Man.
not. Oh yeah, me too. Because I love, again, we get the opportunity to get good things into people's hands as far as genetics, and that can make all the difference for a grower. Like I constantly say, when I started out, I started growing like bag seeds, and you go through them, you find some good things, you think they're really good. And then I got my first like pro cut. It was the Jack's Cleaner 2 from TGA, and I was like, oh, there's really levels to this. So, and we've been doing it long enough to where we're not pushing out mids. And so if somebody's able to get their hands on something good, who knows, maybe it ups their game, or maybe it just makes their drawer deeper. But
Right.
the fact of getting good stuff out there is always a fun thing for me. So yeah, thank you for participating in all 3 of the giveaways today, dude.
Yeah, no, man. Deadheads, man. It's kind to be kind. And like I think if like I sell seeds. I also, like a guy just got ripped off. Somebody used a fake account with my name and said,
No,
you should follow this guy, and send it to a friend of mine. And so my buddy was like, oh, well, dude, if Brandon vouched for him, I'll buy some of their seeds. And they stole his money.
yeah,
So he's like, dude, I can't find him on Instagram now. And I was like, ah, crap. But so I sent him a bunch of seeds. And then there's, because of my job, I come in contact with a lot of growers, and sometimes really crappy things happen to really good people, man. And if they need a do-over, or if they just need something to brighten their day, to like, man, I'm down to do, if you can do a kick down, do a kick down. That's what the Tuesdays are about. The Tuesday lives are a way of giving back, because Tad and I know that, a home tent grower can't afford consultation with KIS. A facility can easily justify it. But if you're growing at home, you might not be able to afford that. Well, all you got to do is tune in on Tuesday, and we'll answer pretty much anything that we can, and if we can't, we'll try to get back to you. And so, like, I'm really grateful to work for a guy like that,
yeah.
in the spirit of the community, tries to give something back. We
Big
literally have
picture,
one
man.
person.
Yeah.
We have one person at KIS who does a bunch of things, but Cindy's main job is to keep Tad from giving the company away, because Tad's constantly like, in our inner office, our inner office communication. Tad's like, hey, can I give this guy our company? He's really having a bad year. And Cindy's like, no, we can't, but he's just a good dude, to the point where we have to restrain him. But I love that about weed. I mean, it brings people together. We call it breaking bread, and it's like, that was the worst thing about COVID, was people quit smoking together. People quit coming together. Like, it broke up that communal, that community. It broke up that social thing for a lot of people.
And I'm sure somewhere on YouTube there is a video that can prove COVID was a conspiracy to down cannabis. I'm sure that video exists. That's the sole reason it ever happened. No, just I'm kind of joking, but sadly not joking. There's so many fun conspiracies around that one, but you're absolutely right. It cut down on the social aspect. And that's such an important part of cannabis, because again, it brings people from different walks of life together. People you never would have probably started a conversation with at the bus stop. There's smoke in the air and you're best friends. And that's, again, a great thing for building the community. And I have always enjoyed Tad's approach as well, and just people with the general mentality. It's like, hey, look, if we're all doing good together, we're all going to do good together. So let's help people. Let's help prop them up, because life is like this sometimes. And, you may need to lean on you, Brandon, at some point. Be like, my arm is broken. I've got a harvest coming in. Fortunately, I'm not a dick to you. Can you help me? And you'll be like, yeah, brother, I'm here right now. What do you need?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Now, my buddy's mom just passed, and I told him, I was like, hey, if you need me to come sit at your farm, you know, I can work off of a laptop and a phone, you know, like if you have the opportunity to show some love, some light to somebody, do it. It's amazing. There's a lot of people who struggle with mental health and that kind of stuff. And they don't always, it's a lot of times it's the people who are laughing all the time that, you know, and I know from personal experience, my father committed suicide 2 years ago. And so it's not necessarily going to have warnings. And so check in on people, give people community, you know, and if you have the opportunity, I'm a hothead. I'm an emotionally immature person. With that said, you know, that's, you know, like that's another focus of that 2026, like taking those labels off, is to, like, if you have the opportunity, show the love. If it's not possible, just disappear, you know, go someplace where your vibes, where your, you know, your energy is productive, you know?
Yep. I appreciate that. And I will echo this again. Thank you for coming on, Brandon. Thanks for sharing the fun stories. And again, thank you for setting the vibe for a great day. I hope everybody goes out, enjoys your afternoon. I always say smile at strangers. My friend Eagle Gardens would tell you to be kind. And yeah, I guess with that, guys, party on.
Be well. Peace.